Hey guys, just finished watching Luke Cage Season 2, Episode 13, the Reminisce overview. Um, what an episode to end this season. So this season, I guess I didn't really like this season. It was a bit slow. There was a bit that it just felt repetitive of last season by having Mariah and Shades again, the same villains. But this episode was really cool to see the way things end with this season. And I think the fallout of this season, the way things end with it, is definitely where things are going to be interesting going into a season 3, or next time we see Luke Cage and him, the fallout of this, or where he's at, where we leave Luke Cage in this at the end of this show, this episode. This season is really, I think, where things are going to be interesting to see where things go from here. So it really is going to be fun to see where things go. And let's jump into this episode. So we start off with Mariah's in court. The streets are turning red with Mariah gone because she was keeping the streets safe and clean and stuff. But everyone's just going mayhem. Luke ends up, there's one point where Luke's like busy taking care of people and saving people on the streets, and he walks into the Pop's barbershop and he's still smoking from all kinds of gunshots. That was a really cool detail that they added there. Tilda ended up keeping, we found out that Tilda is keeping Bushmaster hidden from Misty when Misty tries to go to ask her where he is, and she keeps him hidden. Shades shows up at Pop's barbershop wanting to help Luke clean up Harlem because everyone knows he's a snitch now. He can't really go back to a life of crime or anything. That's what he says, but it's really, he probably can't do it anymore after this stuff that went down with Comanche and stuff. So he wants to help Luke, and he gives him some information and stuff. Mariah ends up taking charge of the prison. She's like attacked, and then someone saves her, and then she ends up taking over from that person and ends up controlling taking over the little gangs in prison there. That was a really cool scene. I was hoping to see her actually burn and stuff, but it was a really cool switch and stuff as bait and switch all in this episode. And then Luke ends up talking to Rosella Carbone to keep Harlem safe. He makes a deal with her to keep the Harlem safe, and he won't go around destroying everything and stopping her organization and stuff. So I think that's an interesting idea to play with that. Mariah has her old crew killed, like she has Donovan. I guess Donovan hires people to go out and kill everyone, even Alex, so that there's no one to testify against her. But she's not able to kill Shades. He's easily able to take out the guy. Luke wants to talk to Mariah, so he gets in touch, uses Foggy, but we don't see Foggy, which was disappointing. It would have been cool to see Foggy, even if just a quick scene of him answering the phone, would have been really cool, but I guess we don't see him. Luke talks to Mariah, and then that's when Tilda had met her in prison before I went to talk to her, and Tilda had actually poisoned her when she kissed her and stuff. So that was an interesting idea, and Mariah ends up dying in Luke's arms, and that was a great scene. I was so happy to see Mariah had gone because I've been so tired of Mariah throughout this whole season. It was so painful watching Mariah. I mean, she's a good actress. The scenes were good, and when she was telling Tilda that Pete is her father, and all that stuff, it was a rape and then all that stuff. That scene was phenomenal between Mariah and Tilda, but that was the only scene really with Mariah that I cared about. The rest was just kind of like annoying with the same character over and over again from last season. So I'm glad she's finally gone. I'm glad that Shades looks like he's gone too. He's still alive. He's gonna go to prison and stuff, but hopefully he never shows back up again. Maybe seeing a cameo here and there. If we get to see Wilson Fisk back over on Daredevil, it would be cool to see Shades in the background or something. But I definitely don't want to see him ever again as a actual villain. As a backup villain, maybe. Someone, an extra villain like he was in season 1, like not a main villain. Okay, but even then, I really wanted to see. Only don't want to see him throughout the whole season and again, because it's just like, keep a break, put him in prison, leave him there for a long time, and then have him come out, for like 2 or 3 seasons of all the shows, so that we definitely have a good break without him. That would be good to see that, even more than 3, like 5 almost. Misty ends up arresting Shades because Mariah is dead. His deal kind of goes through the out the window type thing, and dies with her. So he ends up arresting Shades, and then DW finds out that Luke had to become a crime boss to kind of keep the peace in the streets and stuff. DW is not happy with that idea and has Luke leave Pop's barbershop. And then that's when Mariah, we find out that Mariah left Harlem's Paradise to Luke. And that is an interesting idea to see that. He ends up keeping it. He said he doesn't want to take it. He wants to burn it, but he ends up keeping it anyways, I guess, because that's where all the stuff happens, and he wants to keep things in charge. So it's going to be cool to see where things go with this idea. And then we see Tilda in her comic book costume. Although her comic book costume, her original 80s comic book costume, or 70s or something, I think it's 80s. When did she first appear? Tilda Johnson. Yeah, 73. Her 70s costume was a little bit more, not risque, but she just wore like a bikini and stuff, and it was just kind of made no sense as to why a character like that would wear almost nothing. But she has her classic comic book hair type thing, which looks pretty cool. It really works really well in this. It's gonna be cool to see where that goes with her character going into another season with her. I think it's gonna be interesting to see her, but hopefully she's a little bit more different than her mother and not just being Mariah 2.0 type thing. Hopefully she can actually, be more of a comic booky character, maybe using more of these potions to do stuff, giving herself powers, giving other people powers, things like that. It could be an interesting idea to see where things go with this. I mean, we still technically have Bushmaster. He's still technically alive, but he's just gone back to his place to kind of live it out. And he's probably going to be weak for the rest. He's probably never going to be coming back as a villain because he's probably permanently affected by taking Nightshade and overdosing on Nightshade. So he wouldn't really, the only way he could come back is if they really overdosed him on Nightshade, and that would probably just kill him anyway. So there's no really way with it they could have him come back. So he's probably gone too. And then that's when we see at Luke's Harlem's Paradise, Sugar tells Luke that Claire's there, and he tells him to tell her to go home. Although we don't actually see Claire, so I'm assuming maybe Rosario Dawson was busy filming a movie, or hopefully Daredevil season 3 or something. I forget. I don't want to say Daredevil season 3, and it would be too far away. But because I feel like they're filming that as we speak. But maybe she's in Iron Fist 2, maybe a little bit of both type thing, all three. We'll have to wait and see where things go with this. But I really like the way things ended in this, and I'm excited to see where things go with this ending. This ending is definitely a little bit more interesting to me than this whole other season was. This season was a bit of a torture to watch, other than when Danny Rand was around. That was awesome. Episode 10 with Danny Rand was just my favorite episode. I would even just go back and watch just that episode. I think I would even do that just for fun, because that was a great episode. Watching them team up and fighting together was a great idea. And that's where I can't wait to see now with the fallout of this and Luke kind of taking over Harlem's Paradise and being kind of a crime boss. And like Misty even's telling him, if you go too far, I'm going to take you down, Don't get too carried away with this type thing. So I think that's going to be interesting to see how he plays with that, how keeping her close to make sure he doesn't do that. And he says, when she says to him, if you go too far, I'm going to take you down, and he says, counting on that. And was that like a taunt, or was that kind of like the idea of he wants her to keep him in check? I think that's the way things are gonna. So it'd be cool to see where things go with that, and to see what is Claire's opinion on this whole situation. We don't see Claire when Sugar goes and tells him that Luke told her to go home. Is she mad at that, or is she just okay, fine, and never that's it? They're done, completely done. Or is she kind of devastated, wanting to kind of build up the relationship again, or she's just kind of that's it, I'm going. She goes back to hang out with Daredevil or Danny or whatever. She has other places to go hang out with. Maybe she'll move back to Hell's Kitchen rather than Harlem or something. So that'd be cool to see where things go with that. Although technically she wouldn't go to see Matt Murdock, Daredevil and stuff, because she thinks he's dead. Even though we know he's not. But so it'll be cool to see where she goes and see where things continue on from here. But what I'd like to see, maybe for Luke Cage season 3 or Jessica Jones season 3, which if I'm not mistaken, it has been confirmed that it was announced recently that Kristen Ritter will be directing an episode of Jessica Jones season 3. So that'll be really cool to see that and see which episode they let her direct. I think it would be cool, like the first episode going into season 3, so she could kind of do a little bit whatever she wants. Usually the first episode is a bit sets up the main story, but doesn't really, you know what I mean? It's not really just setting it up a little bit. So it'd be really cool to see what episode she does with that. But that'd be a whole nother video I could probably do on that, is to Christian Ritter directing season 3 and stuff. But it would be cool to see Jessica Jones coming and see what her opinion would be on this situation with Luke, and how he's becoming a crime king, or becoming a king of Harlem type thing, and how things are, what is her opinion going to be on that? Because it's one thing for like Matt Murdock or Danny Rand, they're too clean cut and you know, Boy Scout a little bit too much compared to Jessica Jones, who's a lot more, you know, a lot more dirty and rough with things and stuff. So I think that's really going to be cool to see Jessica Jones' opinion on this. If I had to pick, you know, a character to come and see what their opinion would be, definitely Jessica Jones, because she's willing to drag herself through the mud. I mean, she was willing in her first season to, you know, to get herself locked up in Supermax, and she ripped off a head and dropped it on what's-his-face's desk and stuff to get her locked up in Supermax. She did that. I think, what was the kid's name? I can't think of his name, but whatever. But her neighbor and stuff. But it was really definitely going to be cool to see where she goes, like what her opinion would be with this storyline. You know, she took the head off, ripped the head off the body and dropped it on the cop's desk, and that backfired on her. And she was, the second season, she was willing to, you know, get locked up to take out, to stop her mother type of thing and all that stuff. So I think that's really going to be cool to see where things go with that, and how far what would Jessica think of this? Would she agree with this? Where things are going to go? What is Claire's opinion going to be on this? And definitely, I'd like to see everyone's opinion. What is Foggy's opinion? What is Matt's opinion? What is Jessica's opinion? What is you know, Karen Page's opinion? What is Bobby Fischer's opinion? We still haven't seen him in a few episodes. I think that's really going to be cool to see where things go with all this, and how things kind of continue on from here, and where things kind of go, and how far he goes, and to see where things continue on for a season 3. Hopefully we get this, and it looks like the way they set this up, they have to give us a season 3. I think it would be cool, instead of doing a Luke Cage season 3, is you do an actual Heroes for Hire season. So it's not a Luke Cage season, it's not a Danny Rand season, it's Heroes for Hire, full-on Heroes for Hire season, or you do a Jessica Jones and Luke Cage season. Especially with Luke Cage no longer, I guess his relationship with Claire Temple is just kind of dust in the wind at this point. So it's really kind of behind him. That's really kind of fizzled out. But there was that relationship that Jessica Jones was setting up in her season when she left. I forget the guy's name, but they ended the season with her sitting it with Ricardo Diaz or something. Whatever. But it was the guy who played. I can't think of his name. Wildcat on Arrow. He was actually there, and that's when they ended the season of season 2 of Jessica Jones, with her and him having supper with his kid and all that stuff. So maybe they have a relationship. She already has a relationship right there, so maybe she's not available. But I don't know. It would be cool to see where things go with this and where things continue on. Because eventually, whenever they end Luke Cage's Netflix stuff, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and all that stuff, I needed them to end it with them hooking up, just like in the comic books, and having a daughter. I think that would be the way to finally end it. Maybe Luke Cage season 10, Jessica Jones season 10, you know, end it there, or, you know, hopefully season 20 or something. That would be pretty awesome, and end it there with them hooking up and having a child would be pretty cool. If I'm not mistaken, her name is Danielle Cage, and she's named after Iron Fist. So that could be a cool idea to see that. So it's going to be cool to see where things go with this, but I definitely would like to see just some different people's opinion on this. Maybe if you just bring in Iron Fist one episode next season, or you bring in Jessica Jones one episode, I think it would be cool to see their opinion on that. But definitely I think Jessica Jones' opinion would be the one I'd like to see, and see her opinion on how this kind of ended here. So let me know what you think, guys, about this season in the comments below. What do you think about it, about Luke Cage season 2? And what do you think specifically about this episode, last episode of Luke Cage season 2, episode 13, They Reminisce Over You? And who would you like to see for a season 3 villain? For a season 3 villain, I'd like to see someone with powers, with actual powers, and not someone who's just strong like Luke Cage, not just the Bizarro to Luke Cage, you know, the opposite of our hero, maybe someone completely different power set, someone who's, you know, complicated power set, so that Luke Cage can't just go up and it's not just a physical fight, you know. That's what's all it's been in this in Luke Cage right now. All he's ever done is really kind of is overpower people and overstrength people and stuff. I'd like to see him different ways of doing that, you know. If you get a villain that's different, you know, that has you know, can shoot fire or fly or, you know, mind control or different powers, villains. Luke Cage has been around since the 70s, early 70s even too. So it's really going to be cool to see who they would get for a season 3 villain. I'd like to see different characters. I think it would be really cool to see where they could go with that. There's so many different characters out there. It would be quite fun to see who they could pick up. And now with Disney buying Fox and stuff, maybe they could bring in, you know, a mutant villain. They could bring in, you know, a Fantastic Four villain. They could bring in anyone who they want, and really have pretty much any villain they could think of. It would be really cool to see where they could go with that. So all in all, it's going to be cool to see where they go. Hopefully they choose a character and a villain that's not the same thing. Just like Flash kept using a speedster for their villain. Hopefully Luke Cage can now use a different villain. It's not just the opposite, the reverse Flash to Flash or anything like that. It's just kind of a completely different, someone who's so fundamentally different than Luke Cage, or so fundamentally different powers that could be really cool to see how he would use that. You know, I think that could be quite cool to see that. See where things go, and I'm glad that all the villains in this season are not set up to return. You know, Bushmaster's probably too weak to return, and you know, Mariah's dead, and Shades is pretty much in prison, but he doesn't look like he wants to do anything anymore, so he's done out of that game. So it's really cool setting up. The only one left to kind of come back in a return was maybe Tilda, but hopefully she can be really changed to going into a season 2 now that her mother's dead. She killed her, you know, and becoming the actual Nightshade from the comics and stuff, so that could be cool. But I wouldn't want her to be the main villain of a season 3. I want her to be a backup villain, you know. And that's kind of going around in the shadows throughout the episode, rather than, you know, the main villain. I like to see her like a backup villain type thing. So that would be cool. We'll have to wait and see who we get for season 3. So let me know what you think, guys, about this in the comments below. What you think about this season of Luke Cage? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Sweet Christmas.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.